down and hear our cry. Our earthly rulers falter, our people drift and die. The walls of gold entomb us, the swords of scorn divide. Take not thy thunder from us, but take away our pride. O God of star and marrow, of throne and crown and skin, release us from each Pharaoh that's over and within. The pit of greed deceives us, makes enemies of our kin. Wage war on what enslaves us, bring victory to our sin. Make us one as you are one, Holy Father, Spirit, Son. In our lives your will be done, in our world your kingdom come. O our Lion, O our Lamb, bring your healing, bring your plan. You said you would, and we believe it. O God of storm and shadow, you've calmed the seas before. Deliver us from this battle, now safely to the shore. The waves have risen higher, beyond my reach of faith. Through darkest deep, through fire, your promise makes a way. Make us one as you are one, Holy Father, Spirit, Son. In our lives your will be done, in our world your kingdom come. O our Lion, O our Lamb, bring your healing, bring your plan. You said you would, we believe it. Make us one as you are one, Holy Father, Spirit, Son. In our lives your will be done, in our world your kingdom come. O our Lion, O our Lamb, bring your healing, bring your plan. You said you would, and we believe it. Oh, you said you would, and we believe it. You said you would, and we believe it. O God of our tomorrow, the author of our days, come meet us in our sorrow and resurrect our praise. Bind up the broken hearted, transfigure our dismay. You'll finish what you started and wipe our tears away. Make us one as you are one, Holy Father, Spirit, Son. In our lives your will be done, in our world your kingdom come. O our Lion, O our Lamb, bring your healing, bring your plan. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the day that you have made. Whatever comes, I won't complain. For all my hope is in your name. And now your joy awaits my praise. I give thanks for all you have done, and I will sing of your mercy and your love. Your love is unfailing. Lord, I am grateful. When I was down, you brought me out and set my feet on higher ground. So here I stand, you are my God, my faithfulness, my solid rock. Oh, I give thanks for all you have done, and I will sing of your mercy and your love. Your love is unfailing. Lord, I am grateful. I give thanks for all you have done. I won't forget all the battles you have won. Your love is unfailing. Lord, I am grateful. And as we lift our hands, the heavens open, heavens open. So let our lives declare the love our God has spoken over us. And as we lift our hands, the heavens open, heavens open. So let our lives declare the love our God has spoken over us. I give thanks for all you have done, and I will sing of your mercy and your love. Your love is unfailing. Lord, I am grateful. I give thanks for all you have done. I won't forget all the battles you have won. Your love is unfailing. Lord, I am grateful. 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 Your love is unfailing. Lord, I am grateful.
Hey, good morning, Fireside. How are you guys doing? Welcome to our online stream. I'm so glad you're tuning in. My name's Andy. I co-lead Fireside with my wife, Kate. And I just want to say thank you guys for being involved in what God is doing in this area. If you're new, you can text Fireside to 97000. As Matt Blayback would say, 97000. So you can text that, and that will just pop up a way for us to know you. You can submit prayer requests, and in the midst of a disconnected season, we want to do our best to stay connected. So text Fireside to 97000. And then you can also text give to Fireside Give. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to continue to build God's kingdom, and we want to give our time and our money and our heart to what God is doing. And you can also send to our P.O. box, go on our website, you can figure out all the ways to give. The church is still alive, and we want to be a church that is filled with contributors, not consumers. And so any way we can be a part of what God is doing, because the church is not a building, it's not an organization, it's a bunch of people who are trying to follow Jesus together. No matter where you are on that journey, that's what Fireside is trying to do. We want to be a bunch of contributors, and we're trying to get creative to kind of be the church in the midst of this season. So we have a bunch of things going on during this Advent season, and this is going to be an interesting Christmas. It's going to be interesting Thanksgiving for all of us. And some things I just want you to put on your calendar. And we're going to send out some information on it. You can go on our website. You can also check our social medias, Instagram and Facebook. And we'll text and we'll email. We just want you guys to be aware of it. We don't want you guys not to know the times and dates of these things. That should not be the reason that prevents you. But I get that it's a crazy season. So here are some of the things. So if you are a Fireside family that has kids that are like 12 and under, be on the lookout Sunday the 29th from 11:30 to 1:30, because we have something special that we want to deliver to you. And if you want to be a part of that, you can text, Fireside to 97000, and in the comments just say, hey, I want to be a part of that, if you're not already on our list. And so we just want to kick off the Advent season with a big bang. We want to let our kids know that we still love them and are connected to them. And then the following Sunday, December 6th, we are going to have an outdoor drive-in movie. And this is going to be at Salisbury Elementary School. And I think we're going to show The Grinch. We're going to have some special treats, bring, blankets and whatever you want to do to get comfortable in the back seat of your car. You can back in, and we're going to project it, and it's just going to be a time that we can be safe in the COVID season, but also feel connected as a church. And so kids won't be running around, it'll be a drive-in. So that's December 6th, and it'll start at 4:30 to 6 p.m. is the movie. If you want to bring your own dinner, pizza, whatnot, you can do that. We'll have some kind of popcorn and some other things. And then the following Sunday, so we're going Sunday. Following Sunday, December 13th, we are going to do a light scavenger hunt. And so this is a time for families to come in their car, and we'll have a time and a location, and it'll be 5 o'clock. The location still to be determined, and you pick up your card, and it'll have like find this, find that, all these things like find a star, find an angel, find a Santa Claus, and then you cross it off, and you and your family will go drive around neighborhoods looking at all the Christmas decorations. And if you get all of them, then you come back between 5 and 7, you pick it up around 5 and you come back around 7 or any time in between, and you will get a prize. Kids are very prize driven, so we'll have a prize. And let's be honest, even if you don't get them all, you're still gonna get a prize. But don't tell the kids that. Kids, if you're listening, you need to get them all. So that is the 13th. And then we have a caroling time where we're going to go to a nursing home in Exeter, and that's going to be around that week. And then on the 23rd, we're going to do a Christmas Eve service at Salisbury Elementary parking lot, and a time just so we can do a candlelight, and we're going to do it in the round outside of our cars. And then we're going to do a really amazing live stream on Christmas Eve, the 24th at 7 p.m. And so we are just trying to make us as connected as we can be in this season. And we got a lot of ways to give. You know, you can go on our website. We're trying to give to Fostering Hope, that's to foster caring families. We're trying to give to a bunch of other organizations. So we really want to have this season be about giving, not necessarily receiving. But before we get into our Christmas stuff, it is Thanksgiving on Thursday. And Thanksgiving is a time to be thankful. And so we're doing something a little different this morning. And we're going to hear from 4 families in our church, 4 people: Michaela Hume, Connor and Liz, Jay and Bridget Donovan, and Erica and Chris Lansma, who've moved, but they're still part of our family. And we're just going to talk about the things that we're thankful for in 2020. And I know that sounds ludicrous with the 2020 that we've had, with COVID and all the ups and downs, but I believe God is still at work. You know, when Jesus saw the 10 men with leprosy, he healed them. They all went. Only one came back and said, "Thank you." And I'm always reminded of that story because I don't want to be like the other 9 who just took for granted what God has done in my life and just go on and not recognizing what God has done and the healing and the provisions that He's provided. And so let's take this Sunday to be like that one that came back and said, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for what you've done and what you're doing." This is a practice that we see throughout the Bible. You know, the Israelites would make these Ebenezers, they would stack these rocks up, and it would be a place where they would be reminded of what God has done. That when they crossed the Jordan River, last week we talked about going through the Red Sea, but when they crossed the Jordan River years later, they made these Ebenezers, they stacked up 12 rocks for the 12 tribes, and they said, when we look at this, we'll tell our children's children what God has done. So let's be reminded of what God has been done and say, "Thank you, Lord." So I hope you enjoy as we listen to these wonderful testimonies.
Hi everyone, we're the Donovans. This is Bridget, this is Jay, and we want to take some time to share with you folks how God has shown us His faithfulness in 2020. And to be honest, when Andy first texted Bridget and I, we were not sitting next to each other at the time, and we both had the same reaction probably before texting Andy back, which was we texted each other without Andy with the same thought. Oh my gosh, we've been so blessed here in 2020. How are we going to get on camera in front of our congregation here and tell everyone how great our lives are? And so to the degree that, you know, we don't want to sound like we're boasting, and we're certainly not intending to, but we have been blessed by the Lord, and any boast we have is in the Lord, because 2020, God has shown us His faithfulness by giving us, even through hardship, even through tumultuous times, exactly what we need to strengthen our relationship and our family in what is obviously a very difficult year.
So I agree with that, and I want to say that I was talking to Andy and I was like, I don't really know if I feel comfortable talking about how wonderful everything is, given that, you know, other people are just dealing with difficult situations. But he quickly reminded me that we survived. God delivered us from a difficult year, and it was difficult for us. Not by no means the most difficult challenges people have ever faced, but just some challenges that we encountered. And it kind of started last September, actually. We had a miscarriage, which was obviously very disappointing and very hard, but I feel like we were able to emotionally recover from that pretty quickly, because I heard God say, you know, let me handle the timing of this. And then we really quickly got pregnant with our now baby Madeline. So that was really exciting. You know, he quickly turned that into, hey, I proved myself, like I have better timing, which I clearly see now and to this day. But the pregnancy on the whole was not super great. Definitely some challenges. It was probably the most physically, and because of physical, most mentally challenging year that I've probably experienced to date. And then, you know, if anyone knows what it's like to be married to a miserable pregnant woman, then you know the challenge that lies therein. But about halfway through the pregnancy, COVID struck, and we really didn't know what was about to happen. We were in the middle of some housework, and all of a sudden we were surrounded by family, and Jay was working from home all the time, which is not his favorite thing to be doing, but for me to survive, to get my son through the day without sitting in front of the television all day long, it was really a blessing in disguise. And it has continued to be, because we are so fortunate and have been insulated from the virus in many ways. Even during our time at the hospital, we were protected from it. And so fast forward a little bit, things didn't go the way we had hoped they would with Madeline's birth. We had some difficulties with my son, so we tried a different way, and that didn't go any better. And we ended up, as many of you know, at Beth Israel for a little bit. But again, throughout the whole time we were there, God just showed us that he was in control, and he put really wonderful people in our path and surrounded us with the prayers from Fireside and from our families. So he really just continued to show his face constantly throughout, and in the little things and in the big things. I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many little details, but I will spare you all of that, and just to say that he was present, and we now rejoice knowing that we are a more complete family of 4 now. And my father is someone who has experienced infant loss, and he often reminds me how fortunate we are to have met both of our children. And I feel that every day, and I think about that really often. Because every good and perfect gift is from above. And I think we just are really acutely aware of that right now. And hopefully we'll not lose sight of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, 2020 for us has been, just like for everyone else, a year full of uncertainty and hard times, and certainly more stress than we're accustomed to, and than anybody is typically accustomed to. I think we're all very comfortable in our society, but the big piece we take away from this year is, a lot of the things that make 2020 hard, being unable to travel or leave the house some days, being unable to, be as social as we typically would be, going through a hard pregnancy for us. Those were the things that also, got me working from home, brought us closer to, both my parents and Bridget's parents and our siblings who we were potted up with, and brought our second child into our life. So the things that made this year hard were also the things that showed us God's faithfulness. And for that, we couldn't be more grateful. And we thank all of you for sharing that with us.
Oh, and yeah, there was one other thing I was just going to say, which is that I kept asking God, wow, throughout the whole pregnancy and COVID, like, why does this have to be so difficult? What are you trying to teach me? And, I definitely heard him saying things like, I'm teaching you perseverance, I'm teaching you endurance, and basically how to do difficult things, which you're not accustomed to, Bridget. But it reminds me of the movie The Grinch, because if anyone has seen that movie, there's a part of The Grinch when he comes back into his cave after plotting to do mean things to the little people of Whoville, and he says, well, Max, today was great. We did mean things and we did them in style. And I don't know why, but maybe because I watched that movie a few hundred times over the past year with James, I always keep thinking to myself, we can do hard things and we can do them with Jesus.
Hi, my name is Michaela, and I am thankful for God's faithfulness. I'm thankful for His mercy and His grace. I think this year, I know this year has been difficult for everybody with COVID and with all this transition in different ways. And so for me personally, this has been really the worst year of my life. I had gotten myself into a really dark place through my own actions, but also through things that had happened to me, and it led me down a really dark hole, or down a dark path, and came to the point where I really just didn't want to live and didn't think that I was going to keep living. And so I'm thankful that I'm alive. I'm thankful that God, those scriptures that said, like, God rescued me, He redeems me, He restores me, like that. Like, I'm just a living testimony of that, truly. This year, God has really shown Himself more tangibly than I ever have experienced before. He's shown me that His grace is for me every day, and His mercy is for me every day. I think a lot of time or even in the past, like, I believed it in my head. I believe that that's what the Word says because it's right in the Word, but I didn't believe it for myself. I had a really hard time believing it for myself. And this year, God just, He just completely just changed my way of thinking. And He showed me that, there's mercy, there's grace, and there's forgiveness. And although I want to strive to do better, that there's still grace in when I do mess up, because I'm a broken human. And so I'm really thankful for God's forgiveness and for His grace. Another thing that I'm thankful for is for a program called Mercy Multiplied. I was a resident at this program for 8 months, and it's a program that helps women with life-controlling issues such as eating disorders or self-harm or sexual abuse, things like that. And so I'm really grateful for that program, and I'm grateful for the way that God met me there. Like I said, I had never really experienced God in such a tangible way like I did this past year. I don't know, like, it's hard sometimes to explain it, but He really met me exactly where I was. And I think for so many years I've tried to believe the Word for myself, and I've just fallen short in that because of just the lies that were in my head. And I'm just so thankful for the way that God has really placed scripture that has been in my mind for so long, that He's placed it in my heart, and that I'm starting to live that out, and I'm starting to learn what it's like to live like free and whole. And like I'm just so thankful for that opportunity, and like I'm so thankful that He's given me a second chance, and I'm thankful that He's kept me alive, and I'm thankful that He's brought me back home. I know this is just where I'm supposed to be, and so I'm so thankful just for all He's doing in my life. He just continuously shows up in so many ways. I'm thankful for the way that He uses the church, that He uses Fireside, and the different people that He's placed in my life to just bless me and to teach me and to encourage me. He's just been so faithful to me in so many different areas, in so many different ways. And I'm just, the thing that keeps coming to my mind too is God's loving kindness. And I think I've experienced that more this year than ever before, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, I'm really thankful for God's goodness, and I'm thankful to be hopefully a light of His goodness. So
hi Fireside.
Hi Fireside. We wanted to come and tell you guys how God has been faithful to us this year. One of the huge ways that we felt like God was faithful was in providing us a church family. We really prayed for for God to provide us with a church family when we moved up to New England, and the doors quickly opened to Fireside, and we just felt very plugged in. We developed very close relationships, and Fireside was there in all of our tough times, and it was a large part of what kept us afloat while we were up in New England.
We were just thinking of God's faithfulness this year, and all the ways Fireside, God used Fireside in that, and babysitting our kids when we last minute needed somebody, or we just had a tough year, and so bringing meals, even just at Easter, and the random times people from Fireside would show up with things on our doorstep just in such a isolating time, that was like rays of light to us in that season. So we just are thankful and feel so just thankful that we get to be a part of Fireside and that community and how welcomed we were. Yeah.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Hey Fireside, we're the Fauchés, the other Fauchés, the new Fauchés. I'm Connor.
I'm Elizabeth.
And we just got married a month ago, and marriage is great. And we're really excited to share this morning on what we're thankful for, getting into the Thanksgiving season, and we have a lot to be thankful for. In the last year, a lot has happened that we didn't think would happen.
Yeah. I mean, just to even start out in the beginning of 2020, January, I had just taken a trip up here, and at that point we weren't even thinking 2020 marriage on our radar. We were like, that's not possible. This is before COVID. We were saying that's not possible, just because for all the reasons why we felt like it wasn't possible. And but on that, trip up here, and then when I went back home, at that point I'd really felt just a release that I was supposed to move up here. And I even heard June, and I was like, okay, that's kind of whatever. And then right after that, coronavirus hit, and I was like, June isn't right. that's not right.
Yeah, you told me June, and I was like, it'd be great if it was June.
Yeah, but I think both of us just pressed into prayer a lot, and we really felt like, I really felt like it was right. But I just had no idea how that could even happen. And then by the grace of God, doors opened, and I ended up moving here in June, during a pandemic. I got a job somehow during a recession, basically. And then we got engaged really quickly. It's crazy. Like, what? And then we were, thinking we had to elope, because how can you have a wedding during all this? And then we had a wedding, we planned one in 2 months, and God's grace gave us the capacity for all that. And then we got married in October. All things we just did not think could even possibly happen in our control by any means, right? Like,
yeah,
it just happened.
Yeah, we were stressed about how you were going to move up here, where you were going to work.
I had no money.
Where we would stay, where we would live. We didn't know where we were going to live until like a month before we got married. So we just really saw God's faithfulness carry us through that. And a lot of times when I felt like I wasn't even faithful, I like just trusting God in those things. A lot of times I felt like I just wasn't, but I feel like God really spoke to me and said, just, it's not about me. It's not about what I do. What God says, that's truth. And He's faithful to what He says. So. Yeah, we were really stressed out a lot. But I think we just kept trying to take things in prayer, and it was just cool to see God work things together. And it's been amazing what a blessing marriage has been. Being married, even our wedding was such a time that I'm really grateful for, of just seeing the grace of God through so many people just coming around us and supporting us in ways that we didn't anticipate. And I love that we're speaking on thankfulness this morning, because God's been speaking to us a lot about thankfulness and just the importance of it, and how it's so easy for us to just live from a place of entitlement and comparing ourselves to others, or maybe focusing on the things that we don't have figured out, or the things that we don't know what's next. And we definitely don't have things all together. There are a lot of things we're trying to figure out. but I think God's been challenging us to live from a place of gratefulness that's recognizes that we're not owed the next breath, and we're not owed the next day, and every breath is a gift, and every day is a gift, and just really thanking God for the little things, like, you know, just having a place to stay, and for each other, and you know, for His Word, and every day, you know, His new mercies every morning, and just those little things, and just that gratefulness has just been making a big impact for us and been a lifeline in this time. And we're grateful for just His Word and His way, and that when we follow it, things just get better. And when we trust in God, even when it doesn't make sense, joy,
things get clearer, less blurry,
and joy comes, and peace comes, and we just feel really blessed to serve Jesus. He's a cool guy.
He's cool.
And we just pray that you guys would all have an awesome Thanksgiving, and live in that gratefulness, live in that joy.
Thank you guys for sharing. And you've heard, you know, Michaela, who just came here and is now part of Fireside, and is just, you know, starting over, you know, refreshed, a new start. All the way from the Lansmas, who moved here in December, but then moved back to Tennessee just recently, but they're still family, and just how God has showed His faithfulness in that. And then you heard about Jay and Bridget, who had a baby, their second baby, and just everything that went on with that in the midst of COVID, all the way to Connor and Liz, who got married. So a lot of transitions going on. And I was thinking about this idea of thankfulness, and I looked up, what does thankful mean? And it means to be relieved, or to show gratitude. But I really stuck out that idea of being relieved, that we have this period in our lives, and it's not the time and we're always gonna have these periods in our lives. It's never smooth sailing, but just ups and downs. And once you get through a mountain, there's this sense of relief. And thankfulness is being thanking God with gratitude for getting you through, or moving the mountains that was in your way. And as we close 2020, and we still got, you know, Christmas season to get through, let's just be relieved for those times that God has shown how big He is and how faithful He is. Well, I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and that you guys get to celebrate it, even though it may look different this year. Know that God is alive, He's doing something big, and let's use this time to look back in relief of God getting us through and being faithful in our everyday life. Love you guys, and we'll see you next week.